I was able to learn how to sell. I was able to learn how to talk to people. I used to get so nervous talking to people. Before I got into the fitness industry, if I didn't know somebody, I couldn't talk to them. Yeah. But after talking to people all day, every day, I got used to it, and I'm comfortable going up to anyone, talking to them now. But what I mean by I was able to keep that paycheck coming in while I was starting the real estate sales business. And for the first year, everything I made from real estate sales just felt like a nice bonus check.
So the question is this: how do most agents find the secrets to succeed in today's competitive real estate market, especially when the top agents are keeping those secrets to themselves? That's the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. Hi, I'm Aaron Amuchastegui, and welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. Real Estate Rockstars, this is Aaron Amuchastegui. Today, for our episode, I get to interview Jordan Moorhead. I met Jordan in Austin. Jordan is now an agent in Austin, growing his business here. But one of the interesting parts of his story is he is just recently moving his business to Austin. He has done it in other places. He was out in Minneapolis and had a team and transitioning. So I think we'll probably talk a little bit today about how do you transition in real estate if you move locations, right? And what that's like. Some new ways that he is creating that credibility in the new city, and maybe some other investments and other things. Jordan, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Love the show.
Hey, awesome. So I think that was one of the things when we were meeting up. You'd been an avid listener for a long time. Can you think back to any either favorite episodes or something that you heard on the show that you might have applied sometime in your career?
Oh man, there was one the recent one with the Ninja Selling book. I picked that up and I've been reading that and really enjoying it. So I forget who she was also in GoBundance, correct?
Yeah, the Ninja Selling is a good one. She's a part of the GoBundance women's group, and we will put a link to, I forget which episode number it is, but I'll put a link to that episode number on here too, just as a fun reminder of some of the things that's out there. Every week and every month we have kind of new things, and one of the most fun things is when I get to interview people on the show that have been listeners for a while. And get to see what they've been doing and why. So right now you're in Austin, you were in Minneapolis. When did you get your license?
I got my license in September of 2017 in Minnesota.
Okay. What made you want to get your license?
I bought my first house hack in 2016, and the process was a little clunky. I figured there's got to be a better way out there. And if I can't find it, maybe I can do it. So that I just really wanted to help people house hack, and that's why I got into it.
Where did you first hear about house hacking?
Man, I just had the idea a long time back that it was a good idea to live in one side of a duplex and rent the other, and maybe my mortgage expenses would be cheaper. I had really no clarity whatsoever when I started thinking about it, but it just sounded like a good idea to me. And then I ran into bigger pockets around 2014, started hearing that term house hacking. Said, oh, this is something I have to do. And I kind of waited around too long, but it got started in 2016.
Yeah, getting started now, we could always start it sooner, but it's never too late to start. So your first property, so 2016, you bought a house hack. And by house hack, you mean you bought a house where, now some people, they buy a house and they rent out rooms. Mm-hmm. Did you actually buy a house or did you buy a duplex?
I bought a duplex, but I also rented out rooms.
Okay, so you bought a duplex. You lived in one side, or did you rent out? Did you rent out to somebody on one half, or did you rent out all rooms in both sides of the duplex?
I rented. It's an up-down duplex. I rented the top unit, which was already remodeled, to two younger college-age girls, and then the bottom unit, which was not remodeled at all, which is kind of disgusting. A buddy and I moved into. We had the carpet and paint done before we moved in. And we lived in that unit. We also Airbnb'd the back porch, and this is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, so it's really cold there. Back porch had no insulation, no heating source, and we rigged it up so it would have some heat and it would stay just bearable. But we rented that out on Airbnb. So I actually paid $500 a month to live there.
So on the description, did you say slightly bearable, almost warm enough back porch for, like, what type of people would rent the back if you're like, it's barely livable?
Well, it was big enough to be a room, and I rented it really cheap. I rented about $30 a night. So I targeted the interns and the students that were close to the college I was at and all that sort of stuff, and keep people for a month or two, actually.
All right. So you'd say, hey, $30 a night, but they wouldn't just come in for a night. They would rent it for a couple months because they were like, hey, it's furnished already, so, and it's short term. And so they could do, so very cool. So you did the first house hack, your first house hack, you bought that, you rented out the rooms, you're very active in that. And then somewhere in that process, you said, maybe I should become an agent. So what was the transition like when you became an agent? How did you do your first few months, your first 6 months, your first year?
Well, I lucked out because I had another business going that I was almost out of when I started working as an agent. So I had a fitness business going. We did personal training for small groups, and I had 2 trainers and an admin working for me. I was making $8,000 a month when I started working as an agent and didn't have to be anywhere at any certain time. So it works out well.
So right now, there are huge fitness centers that are getting shut down. COVID is crushing the workout industry. COVID is crushing the personal trainer industry. Like there is, I could totally see a shift of personal trainers getting into real estate or something else. I mean, that has been one of the saddest things I've seen in COVID is it's like this healthy thing that people aren't able to do, or they will open and then they will close. And I've met a lot of people, even, I've met a lot of people that had businesses that they kind of that workout businesses, fitness centers that got shut down during COVID. I've seen a lot on the business buy sell pages of, fitness centers getting shut down saying, hey, we just want to totally sell because we don't even want to make the payment anymore. So you were able to say, so you had this business, and so you said, so you were lucky. So you had that business and then you got into real estate. So were you lucky because you made money, so you didn't need the money in real estate, or were you able to convert clients from your fitness business into real estate?
I didn't convert very many. I tried not to mix them so much because I was in the process of grooming the head trainer to buy the business. And about a year later, I sold him the business. But I was able to learn how to sell. I was able to learn how to talk to people. I used to get so nervous talking to people. Before I got into the fitness industry, if I didn't know somebody, I couldn't talk to them. Yeah. But after talking to people all day, every day, I got used to it, and I'm comfortable going up to anyone, talking to them now. But what I mean by I was able to keep that paycheck coming in while I was starting the real estate sales business. And for the first year, everything I made from real estate sales just felt like a nice bonus check.
Yeah. All right. So you started real estate kind of on the side, right? It was that nice bonus check. How did you get your first deals?
Well, it wasn't on the side so much. I was working more than full time. I just was able to because I owned this business. My first client was actually from Bigger Pockets. I met a guy, he wanted to do what I was doing. I was house hacking a duplex in the same area of Minneapolis he wanted to be in. And we found a great deal. He made a great profit off it a year and a half later too.
Well, so tell me how you get a client from Bigger Pockets. Is that from the forums that's going on there and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing, talking to somebody, and then they said, hey, can you find me a house?
Just really providing value to people, asking questions, trying to get into what I was doing. And that's a lot of what I do today. It's just provide value. I don't go out there looking for deals or looking for people to be clients. I just go out there trying to provide value.
So break that down a little bit more for me. So new agent trying to go find places to provide value where maybe people will see them. How would they do that? Through Bigger Pockets or from whatever other online sources are out there? If you were going to say, hey, go do these 3 things and I bet it'll start working, what would you tell them?
For me, I've always just done what I know about. So with house hacking, I know how to house hack. I've been house hacking for years now. I'm still in a house hack here in Austin right now. Been doing it since 2016. I can say what worked for me, how I found value. By the time I got my license as an agent, I'd already been house hacking for almost a year. And I'd been making $500 a month to live in it. So I just spoke to that. I spoke to what I knew.
So do you do that? So do you do that on social media? Do you do that in forums when you're answering questions on different sites? What are the ways that people should go? Where should they go to do this?
I do it on social media. I do it on Bigger Pockets. I talk to whoever I can. I host meetups. I have a podcast. really anywhere I can get it out. I'm on YouTube, Bigger Pockets, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, even. I try to get out there and meet people as often as I can. And I'm just always out there trying to network, trying to meet people, trying to provide value to people that are interested in house hacking.
So you're doing a lot of stuff online, mostly about house hacking. So you might be on forums, and if somebody asks a question about it, you're going to answer the question.
Yep.
Or you may record a video or record a podcast or something out there where there's just that's your specialty. Is that your niche and your specialty that you provide value in, and you bring in clients that way?
Yeah, house hacking and just getting that information out there. I want to help other people save money and make money and have a better financial future.
Are most of your clients that you find, are most of them saying, hey, help me buy a house that I can house hack as my first investment?
I'd say 85% or so are house hackers.
Wow. Okay. So that is a really, really high percentage of people. So you're not out there farming for business. You're out there saying, hey, this is my expertise. And so then when people reach out to you, they're like, okay, I want to do that.
Yeah. I try to work with people that specifically want what I have and what I do. And I don't just go out there looking for random business. And I think that's always my first year. I sold 24 houses. 23 of them were to house hackers, so I think that's always been good for me, is just to stick to my niche.
Wow. So 23 out of 24 were house hackers. Now, where did they find out about you? Those other, especially your first year, just getting started. So your first guy was on the Bigger Pockets forums. You had a place there. Where did the rest of your people come from that year?
Some Bigger Pockets, a lot from my sphere and social media, just getting out there and talking to people.
Okay. So you would just get on and record videos and say, hey, I bought this house and I live in one site and I get paid to live here. And then people would say, tell me more. You get paid to live there.
Yeah. And I started having meetups almost right away too. So I got my license in September. I started doing meetups in around December and had people over to my projects, had people over to projects of friends, and just talked about what we were doing. All
right. So how many deals are you doing a year now?
Around 40 a year. I did 41 last year. Gross volume was 7.9.
Okay. So that's like 200,000 average sales price or so?
Yeah. And that's actually gone up quite a bit since I've been in Austin. That my last full year was in Minneapolis. This won't even be a full year in Austin, but the average sales price is $350 or higher.
Real estate rock stars. This is Aaron Amuchastegui with a quick commercial break from our sponsor, Rent Ready. Why do you invest in real estate? To retire early? To build your dream home? Start your own business? Whatever the reason, whatever the dream, Rent Ready can help you reach it. With Rent Ready's unlimited property management features, your real estate dreams are also unlimited. Rent Ready is landlord-tenant software that covers all of your real estate investing needs, including unlimited properties, tenants, and live customer support, so you can start small and grow your business without increasing costs. I've had plenty of subscriptions before where you get charged like per house that you own or per deal you've done. And what they're saying is, hey, it's going to cost the same thing no matter what. Whether you have one house, 10 houses, or 100 houses, they're not going to penalize you when you grow, and they're going to help you grow. Rent Ready is a flat price and scalable for your needs. No need to shell out big bucks for multiple management softwares. With Rent Ready, they have everything you need all in one platform, so you manage your rentals and grow your portfolio. As a special offer, you've heard it on here before, you can try Rent Ready for 1 year for only $1, but you have to use our code. Here is the code ROCKSTAR, ROCKSTAR, and sign up for Rent Ready's annual plan at rentready.com. That's RENTREDI.com with code ROCKSTAR to get Rent Ready for a year for just $1. And if you want to learn more about Rent Ready, or you want to learn more about Ryan, the CEO and founder of Rent Ready, go check out episode 939, where I interviewed him about why he created this platform and what they're doing next. So how did you transition your business from, so in Minneapolis, you'd become an expert. People looked free there. You did meetups. Probably some of those people would continue to go to meetups. Maybe they'd go to a few before they'd actually hire you. And then you decided to move. So why did you move to Austin, and how has it been to transfer your business, like to grow a new business in a place that you weren't from before?
So I did a little bit of what I had done before. I kept the other business going for the time being, so I was still making income. And I started this business mostly with Sphere and people on Bigger Pockets. I've been investing in Austin since 2018. So I have some experience with homes here. I'm able to speak to that, and I've got a track record to show people how I've done. But yeah, it's not easy starting over in a new space.
When did you move to Austin?
In April. of this year.
So a month after the world shut down,
Yeah.
you moved out to Austin. You used to do meetups. Texas is more open than many places in the world right now. Have you done meetups since you've been here? Do you do virtual meetups now, or is it, or how did you find new people out here with that sphere?
Mostly virtual, but as soon as I'm going to do a rehab on the other side of the duplex I'm in here in a month or two, I'm going to start an in-person and keep it real limited just to see how people feel about it. But my sphere here, I've already known a lot of people here. I lived here in 2016. I've been back and forth since about 2018 pretty consistently. And I know a lot of people that have moved here from other places, as everybody and their mom is moving here right now from all over the country. It's easy to know people who've relocated to Austin for me.
So one of the questions we like to ask people is, do you do more? Are you more of a buyer's agent or more of a listing agent? I would guess that you're more of a buyer's agent because people are helping you get the deal.
Almost all buyers. Yeah, exactly what you're talking about. I'm helping people find house hacks to get into, and I actually really enjoy that. I like helping them sell them, and a lot of the times I'll sell them a year or so later. But I really like helping people get into house hacks and find good deals.
Yeah.
So about 90% buyers.
So 90% buyers, and are most of them, are they first-time buyers? Is it people buying their first house and then figuring out how to do that with it?
First house, or I've actually had quite a few people sell their first house, which they bought a single family with the white picket fence and moved into and had their dogs and had all these things and said, hey, I don't want to do this. This house hacking sounds like a much better idea. So they've sold their houses and moved into duplexes with me.
That is really cool. Kimberly Meserve is another gal that we interviewed that she focuses on a brews and buys. So she did like a meetup, and it used to be they'd go to a bar and she would tell people how to buy their first house. It was like a first time home buyer workshop. Yeah. And then she converted that to a virtual meetup, and really has grown a huge business on that, on focusing on first time buyers. And it sounds like you have a very similar business plan, but yours is kind of first time buyers with that niche, with that idea of, hey, now you can afford to do it this way, or make money by buying your first home. And so maybe as you start to see that, the new meetups, the virtual, be curious to see how that happens, especially do you think as the real estate market, prices are going up in most places right now? Right. In most places right now, it's multiple offers on houses. Houses are selling for more than they were, 6 months ago, more than they were a year ago. Does that make a house hack a better or worse option? Does home prices going up, how does that impact your clientele?
I think it makes it a great option. I don't think there's ever a bad time to house hack. If the numbers work and you can live for considerably less than you were living for, and you can make money on the property when you move out, why is that a bad time to buy a house hack? So I don't think there's ever a bad time to do it. You're going to make money.
So again, we're talking to agents right now, but if you were going to give them a crash course in that, or they wanted to start telling people about that as an option, or somebody comes to them and says, hey, I want to buy this house, but I can't, or I can't afford it. So then your natural thing is to say, well, if you house hacked, you could. How do they calculate it to make sure that they can afford it? So you said, hey, if they can afford it, do it. But a house hack is kind of different because it's not necessarily based on your own income anymore. How do you help them figure out if they can afford it or not?
You just need to look at the rents for the area. And most of the time, the rents are not going to be where they need to be at. So if you're looking at a duplex, for instance, and one half is already rented, you cannot be guaranteed that that side's going to be at market rents. So you need to look at what does each side of the duplex need to have done to get up to market rents, and what are market rents. So maybe you need new flooring, new paint, light fixtures. You sort of have to think like an investor. And same when you're an agent. I think it helps to be an investor, but think like an investor when you're helping somebody buy a house hack of how can they add value to this property? How can they get the rents up? And then what's their mortgage, or what's their part of the mortgage payment going to look like after they get the rents up on that other side? So if we're buying a duplex in North Austin, the rent's going to be mortgage is going to be $2,500 a month. Each side can rent for $1,500, but one's rented out for $1,000 right now. What do you need to do to get that side up to $1,500? And what do you need to do to get your side in a position where when you move out, you could rent it for $1,500?
Okay. So you start doing some of that cash flow analysis. So what are some of the bad things that happen with house hacks?
Just not understanding what you need to do to get the rents up or underestimating that. You don't want to guess. I get lots of people that want to know, hey, how much is this rehab? I know that I'm not the smartest guy in the room when it comes to estimating rehab costs, but I have great contractors that can come out and do it. So if you buy a house hack and say, hey, this is only going to be a few grand to fix this unit up, there might be some guy out there that'll do that for you, but maybe he doesn't do it right. Maybe the actual cost is 20 grand to fix that unit up and you don't have that money. So you need to figure out before you get into something, how am I going to pay for this? And what's it going to produce when it's done?
Yeah. So it's not just the purchase, it's the upgrade after that. Do you ever have problems with when you're renting rooms out that the people don't get along with each other? Because they're sharing a kitchen, right?
Mm-hmm. Personally, I haven't done a lot of that. The people I know and people that I've helped do it like to do a meet and greet type thing and make sure they interview the person that's moving in and they understand who this person is that's moving in and can reasonably assume they're going to get along with the other roommates.
So I think there's two ways to house hack. One would be buy a duplex and you live in one side and you rent out the other whole side to one group. Right. Mm-hmm. So you're not doing a bedroom. That's a very simple one. And I guess you don't have to worry about if they get along or not. The other version, I mean, somebody could actually just buy a 4-bedroom house, live in the master and rent out 3 bedrooms, one off to other individual people. Mm-hmm. Do you do half and half? Do you do more of the duplex style where you rent it out in big sections or?
Almost all small multifamily for me.
Okay,
that's
so
what I've always done.
That seems like it'd be a little bit easier to rent out half a multifamily and that instead of, I could just foresee problems with you're renting out your room to somebody. And then afterward, if there is a conflict, a personal conflict, all of a sudden there's also a legal agreement with renters. So interesting stuff. So maybe it's super simple, buying small multifamily, living in multifamily, having it be your asset and your investment, and at least a portion of a portion of that multifamily is going to pay rent because you're that one side that's taking care of it while you get to live in that investment property. So how many properties do you have now?
Me personally, I currently have 5 properties. We actually close on 8 more this week.
Wow, that's a big change. So you have 5 multifamilies. Did you buy those one at a time?
Yeah. So I bought I have 3 6-plexes in Louisville, Kentucky, a multifamily here in Austin, and a single family in Louisville, Kentucky.
All right. So if you were going to go back and tell yourself some advice about real estate, sounds like you've had a very specific niche about this is how you get your clients, and it's house hacks, and you're going to underwrite the deal and you're going to help provide value that way. And if you do that, you're going to help them get a good deal. But what are some other things in real estate that you wish you would have known your first year, either about the process or growing a team or deals that didn't go well?
I just wish I would have stuck to my niche. So there's always these shiny objects floating around that look really attractive. Maybe I want to work with move-up buyers. Maybe I want to more focus on first-time home buyers. And I kind of forgot that this house hacking thing is working really, really well for me. Mm-hmm. I was runner-up in the Midwest area of Keller Williams for Rookie of the Year when I started. And if I would have just focused on my niche instead of chasing every shiny object like investors and first-time home buyers, I would have been in much better shape. So that's what I do now is I just stick to my niche.
I think that's really good advice. I think when people are starting, they might not know what their niche is yet. Right. A new agent might be, that's a good time to try first-time home buyers or investors or, figuring out where you can get that lead source. But Jordan makes a good point there when he says, once you figure out something that does work, like he found his niche, now that he's found his niche, it's focusing on that. If something does work, going all in and trying to grow that. So what's next for growing this business? What will you be doing? So 2020 was a really interesting year, especially in the Austin area. The market has gone up like crazy. The demand has gone up, supply is down. And I think that's everywhere. So when you have your goals for next year, what are you going to be doing how many deals are you going to try to get next year? And anything extra you're going to be trying to do to get more deals?
So what I'm going to do to try to get more deals next year is I actually just recently hired an admin part-time to work with me just me down here. The team in Minnesota will be ending at the end of December. So I'm really narrowing my focus just down to Austin, only thinking about Austin, really going back to the niche thing. I'm just focusing on my niche. It's really easy in Austin as a real estate agent that talks about investing to get calls from California people every day wanting to invest in Austin. And those are harder clients to work with for me. But my goal next year is to do 60 transactions.
So what are you going to do? So you said you're closing down your Minneapolis team and kind of building your Austin team. What are you going to do if one of those old clients in Minneapolis says, hey, I want to buy another house hack?
Refer them.
Just refer them.
Great people there. So I know I'll get them taken care of.
All right. So you'll still get to have your business there, but just instead of being hands-on as Jordan, you can say, hey, here's the guys that worked with me and that can take that as you grow your new one. We said if you were on stage, you would name your panel network and leverage. So to talk about what you've done with that. So what's your elevator pitch for network and leverage?
So I think leverage, number one, the first thing I did when I got my license is I realized I'm terrible at doing any sort of paperwork. I did one transactions paperwork and I immediately hired a transaction coordinator. And that freed me up to go out and network and meet people who are actually going to be buyers. So making sure to get that stuff off your plate, that's just a waste of time as an agent. Doing the paperwork for your transactions is not making you any money. And it's low dollar per hour work too. So you need to farm that out. It's really easy to farm out. You can pay a transaction coordinator roughly $300 a transaction to do your paperwork for you. And then you can focus on going out there and meeting people. I had a goal of 3 coffee meetings a week my second year in real estate, and I just blew that out of water. So
how did you find that first transaction coordinator?
Just talking to the broker in my office, talking to other people in my office. My KW office in Minneapolis is very smart. They actually hired an on staff transaction coordinator, and they charge his services to the agents, but you have to have one. Talk to people in your office. They'll know where you can get one.
It's something that's crazy about that. So in 2009, the cost of a transaction coordinator was $300 a transaction, right? We're 11 years later. Houses are, I don't know, worth 50% more, right? Commissions are so much higher, but the cost of transaction coordinating has just essentially stayed the same. Real agents can do more volume now with all of that, and maybe the prices has stayed the same because there's some technology that makes it a little bit easier. But that's kind of funny when you say that it's $300 now, and it's been like that for the past 11 years. It seems like everything else in real estate has gotten more expensive. Advertising has got more expensive. Lead gen has got more expensive. But that definitely seems like a really easy first step, going toward leverage. So what about network? That was the other side of your recommendation. How should people use their network to succeed in real estate?
So just talk to everybody, tell everybody you're in real estate. I know that's always the advice that's passed around is when you get your license, tell everybody you're in it. But more than that, talk about it on your social networks that you're a part of. Get out there and meet new people. Go to as many meetups as you can when meetups come back in style. I think that's going to be a few months, but get out there and talk to as many people as you can every day about it.
Who did you hire after your first transaction coordinator? What did you do? What did you do next? Because you ended up getting you built up a team, right? Mm-hmm. You had a few employees or partners on that team. What was your next hire? So it's really easy to say, all right, the first one you needed a transaction coordinator. What happened next?
Full-time admin.
Okay. What did your full-time admin do?
What did they not do? Database management, writing offers, transaction coordination, working with buyers and sellers on the back end, checking with buyers and sellers. They did so much. It just takes so much off your plate. My admin now actually does my bookkeeping. She does database management. She finds podcasts for me to be on. She updates any information I need, deals with any of the back end transaction coordination, just all the stuff that I'm just absolutely terrible at.
Yeah. What technology do you use to kind of manage the database or do the follow-up? What's your favorite sort of technology out there that you like using?
KW Command's been great for me. I'm a bit cheap and it was free and it actually works really well.
All right. So fair enough. So you're a KW agent. You have access to their CRM kind of tracking stuff for free. So you use that. Anything else that you've used over the years that you thought was good too, or does your new one do everything you need?
It does. So we used Follow Up Boss for a really short time. I could really never get into it, probably because I was already using Command and it was easy, but my admin at the time wanted to use it. So we tried it out. Another tool I've used a lot of is Keller Mortgage. They'll do, I want to say, half price closing costs on most mortgages. So they eat a lot of those closing costs. They don't charge any origination fees. I've used that as a big tool to get listings sold, to help buyers save money. If somebody comes to me and I have a listing and they say, hey, we want you to cover roughly 3% of our closing costs, we'll say, hey, that's great. Keller Mortgage will cover half and we'll cover half, but we're not covering all of them. And almost always when I say that to a buyer's agent, they come back and say, okay, they'll just take half. And most of the time they don't even want to use Keller Mortgage, just because you gave them the option of somebody else can pay for them if you just use this mortgage company, they drop it.
Yeah. I mean, that has been a common kind of negotiation that happens a lot lately. Hey, we need you to help with that. So whether you're in KW and you get to use Keller Mortgage, or you're at a different office, especially if you're working with first-time home buyers, having a partnership with a mortgage broker that can do something like that, that's a quick answer to an agent saying, hey, we need a big credit. And you're like, cool, no problem. If you use our preferred lender, we'll give you that credit. Now that has been something that used to be used, back in California in 2009, 2010, a ton. Right. So use our preferred lender. We'll pay your closing costs. We'll only give you a 3% credit if you use our preferred lender. There was ways for people to say that and have it be totally acceptable. I don't see that a lot today in conversations. That might just be me. But as you say that now, it's the first time I've heard that in a while. But it used to be very commonplace. Home builders too, new homes. If you use the home builder's lender, they will give you 20,000 in upgrades plus all of your closing costs paid for. And if you don't use their lender, you get nothing. Yeah, right? It was really simple. They're like, okay, well, then I'll use your lender because it really feels like they can do that. So I think that's a great reminder to people if they're especially working with first-time buyers, if they don't have a different mortgage broker that they're partnered with, start trying to find a mortgage broker you could partner with that could help you with some of those things. So tell us about your podcast. So now in Austin, now you've got a podcast. How many episodes are you in? What do you talk about? And what has that done for your business?
So my podcast is called the Austin Real Estate Investing Podcast. Super unique name, I know. It's all about Austin real estate investing. And we just talk to people who've been investors in Austin or who are investing in Austin. What that's done for my business is just added some credibility. It was really easy to get started. It's also a great way to network. Any person I interview, I ask, who else do you know that I can interview?
We've had a lot of people on, like the YouTube agents, some other guys that talk so much about YouTube and talk so much about creating videos on YouTube for their city that tell people like, hey, what to do in this city, what to do on those things. It gains them credibility and gets them deals. I haven't talked to anybody that use, building a podcast as that. So anyone out there that's listening that, has a YouTube page or they've started to try to do that, I would say, why not try a podcast? Now, some people love YouTube and love video, and equally, there are just as many people that love listening to stuff while they're driving in the car. And so being able to, and we see that on our own podcast. We've got a YouTube page where we present these. You could be watching us on YouTube right now, or you could be downloading it and listening to it on any of the places that goes. But I like Jordan's idea of creating a very simple podcast for your area. And it could even be like the guys said when they were talking about YouTube, it could be things to do in Austin, Texas. And it's a podcast for things to do in Austin, Texas. And people get to start listening to that. And then they would reach out to them, places to buy in Austin, real estate stuff. So really simple podcast. Now you reach out to people, you interview them, you get to network and meet more people that way. And it's instant credibility for you, especially at a new city. So I think that whether someone is a new agent or an experienced agent, there's probably something they can do with, we talk about YouTube, we talk about social media, we talk about getting out there and just recording stuff and creating content. And why not do the same thing with podcasts as you get to go do that? So now you've invested in lots of different places. With your 5 and now you're getting 8 more. You're going to continue to build that out in Austin. Next year, you're going to do 60 transactions, instead of 40. what's your long-term goal for yourself, for your business, for your own investments? If you looked at 5-10 years down the line, what are you hoping to be doing in your business?
So yeah, right now I'm building a team, but my long-term goal for my sales business is to own a market center. On the sales business, that's really what I'd like to do. I love doing this. I don't really want to do it forever. It's a lot of work. So in the near term, I'm going to continue to build a team, but in the long term, I want to open a market center. For my investing business, we're looking to have 50 units in Louisville, 50 single-family houses in Louisville by the end of 2022.
Yeah, it's great to be able to stay focused on that. I mean, and so you've given some great advice for the listeners today, right? So it's find a niche and focus on that niche. And then, that becomes, and at the beginning, it may take a little while to find it, but then stick with it. You said your biggest mistakes was actually when you tried to follow other objects instead. You had something that was working, but you wanted to do more. And you said, you know what, it's better to get back to what you're doing, partnering with a brokerage, with a mortgage broker to be able to actually, enhance some things with that, and just providing a ton of free content for people. And that could be on social media was working. Now you're using the podcast to do it. Anything to add? I mean, so you're giving us a copy of your house hacking ebook, right? So if people go to hibandigital.com, they click on get the toolbox. In there will be a copy of your house hacking ebook. What's in that?
Just talks all about house hacking and my journey with house hacking and really what that all looks like. So if you're an agent that wants to learn about house hacking and be able to help other people with that strategy, or maybe you want to get into house hacking yourself and then help other people with that strategy, definitely read some material about house hacking, learn and experience house hacking, and you can help people. You can have another great tool to help people save money and get started in real estate investing.
Very cool. Anything else? What are kind of some final thoughts you want to leave with everybody if they want to reach out to you and ask you about house hacking or about your podcast? Anything else? If people have questions, how should they find you, Jordan?
Pretty much any social media platform, Jordan Moorhead, Bigger Pockets, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I check every so often, but not so much. So if you hit me up on Facebook or Bigger Pockets, probably where I am the most. I would say what I'd tell to all the agents is just always be out there to give. Just keep give, and then you'll get everything you want in return. I want to say it's Zig Ziglar said, help everybody else get what they want and you'll get everything you've ever wanted. And that's just always the attitude I've taken when I've gone out there is I'm always here to help people. And the more people I can help, I won't have to worry about anything.
Yeah. So if you're looking to network in Austin, go find Jordan on his Investing in Austin podcast. If you got extra houses in Louisville, you heard how many houses he's trying to buy in Louisville as an investment. Feel free to reach out to Jordan. Check out our toolbox for learning how to house hack, or ask him yourself. I'm sure he'd be happy to help teach you that. Hopefully that is a new niche that some of you listeners can add to your own toolbox. And maybe it's something that you'll be able to help your clients and get more deals. So Jordan, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Aaron.
Our Real Estate Rockstars, thank you for listening. Bye-bye. All right, Real Estate Rockstars, this is Aaron Muchastegui jumping in again to thank you for listening to the show. Hopefully you guys loved listening to that one. And I want to make sure that you know about all of the extra resources that we have. And also we need your help. They say podcasts are free. You get to listen to podcasts for free. But what is the cost of that podcast? I would say if I could beg you to pay anything for that podcast, I would say the cost of the podcast is going and giving a review. So whether you download it on Google or Apple or YouTube or anywhere else, please go give us a review. Say what you liked, what you didn't like. It helps us get better guests. The more reviews, the higher we get in the rankings. Right now, we are the biggest podcast out there for real estate agents, and we want to keep that spot because we know there's lots of podcasts out there. So go give us a review. Also, be sure to go to hibandigital.com. If you liked any of the resources that those real estate agents talked about, we've got a huge video vault of those resources for free. Every penny that comes on the podcast that we interview, they give us something that helps them get their deals or helps them work with their clients. And we put that in the toolbox in our vault for you. So go to hibandigital.com and you can get it. If you're looking for real estate education, go to rebusuniversity.com. We have all sorts of courses in there to help agents succeed in real estate. How to get the listing, how to negotiate deals, how to become an investor, all sorts of different stuff, rebusuniversity.com. And if you want to chat with me, go find me on Instagram. And if you come find me on Instagram, you can send me messages. Tell me what you want to hear. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. We try to put a bunch of content out there too. You can find me in 2 different places. It's at rerockstars.com for our Real Estate Rockstars page, or at aaronamuchastegui.com for my personal Instagram page, where I can chat with you about all sorts of different things. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again soon.